My grandson told me I was too old-fashioned to attend his destination wedding in Cabo. I smiled, nodded, and quietly canceled the $75,000 check from his grandmother's inheritance. Then I showed up anyway and told everyone the truth. Let me back up. My name is Robert Miller. Most people call me Bob. I'm 71 years old, and I've been a high school history teacher for 43 years. I retired 5 years ago, but I still substitute when they need me. It's what I know. It's who I am. My wife, Margaret, everyone called her Maggie. She passed away 3 years ago. Pancreatic cancer. 6 months from diagnosis to goodbye. We'd been married for 46 years. She was a school librarian, and we met when I was 23, fresh out of college, starting my first teaching job at Lincoln High in suburban Chicago. She was organizing the card catalog, and I asked her if she had any books on the Civil War. She looked at me over her glasses and said, "Which side?" I fell in love right there. We never had children of our own. Maggie had complications after a miscarriage early in our marriage, and the doctors said it wouldn't happen for us. It hurt, but we poured all that love into our students, our nieces and nephews, and especially into my sister's son, my nephew David, and his family. Tyler is David's boy. My grandson, technically my great-nephew, but I raised David after my sister and her husband died in a car accident when he was 12. David became like my son, and when Tyler was born 26 years ago, I was in that delivery room. I cut the umbilical cord. I was Grandpa Bob from day one. Maggie and I were there for everything. First steps, first words, first day of kindergarten. We watched him play Little League, attended every school concert, helped with homework at our kitchen table. When David got transferred to Seattle for work when Tyler was 10, it broke our hearts, but we visited every summer and Christmas. We FaceTimed every Sunday. Tyler always called us, never missed. He was a good kid, smart, ambitious, wanted to make something of himself. He went to Northwestern, worked 2 jobs to help with tuition, even though we helped where we could. He graduated with honors, got a job at a tech startup in San Francisco. He was doing well, really well. We were so proud. Then he met Vanessa Ashford. I remember the first time Tyler mentioned her, about 2 years ago. "Grandpa, I met someone. She's incredible. Her family's in tech too, venture capital." I was happy for him. A young man in love. What's better than that? I met her 6 months later when they came to Chicago for Thanksgiving. She was polite, beautiful, well-dressed. But there was something, I don't know, the way she looked around our house. We live in a modest 3-bedroom ranch I bought in 1978. It's paid off, it's comfortable, it's home. But I saw her eyes linger on our dated wallpaper, our old furniture, the family photos in drugstore frames on the mantel. "This is cozy," she said. Cozy, like it was a consolation prize. Maggie squeezed my hand under the table. She saw it too. But Tyler was glowing, so we smiled. We made small talk. Vanessa told us about her father's company, their house in Atherton, their place in Aspen. She didn't ask us a single question about ourselves. After they left, Maggie said, "She's not for him." "Give it time," I said. "Maybe she's just nervous." Maggie shook her head. "That girl looks at our grandson like he's a project she's upgrading." I wish she'd been wrong. Maggie got sick 4 months after that Thanksgiving. Tyler came home twice during those 6 months. Once for a weekend, once for the funeral. Vanessa came to the funeral, stood in the back, checked her phone during the eulogy. Tyler barely looked at me at the reception. He said he had to get back to work. Big project launching. I understood. He was young, he was building his career. Grief is hard, but I missed him. God, I missed both of them, Maggie and Tyler, my whole family. Just like that. David called me every week, but he was busy with his own life in Seattle. His other kids, his job. I told him I was fine. I went to the YMCA, played chess at the senior center, graded papers for the substitute teaching. I kept busy. Then, 14 months ago, Tyler called. "Grandpa Bob, I have news. I proposed." Vanessa said yes. I was happy for him. I really was. "That's wonderful, Tyler. Congratulations." "Thanks, Grandpa. Listen, I want you to be involved in the wedding planning. You're important to me. Grandma would want you there for all of it. My throat tightened. She'd be so happy for you. I know. I miss her. Me too, son. Me too. Over the next few months, Tyler would call occasionally with updates. They were planning a destination wedding, Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. Vanessa's family had connections to a luxury resort there. It would be intimate, around 150 guests. Spring of next year. Sounds beautiful, I said. Expensive, but beautiful. Yeah, the Ashfords are handling most of it. But Grandpa, I want to talk to you about something. Sure, anything. I know Grandma left me money in her will, the life insurance policy. My stomach tightened. Maggie had a $150,000 life insurance policy from the teachers' union. In her will, she left half to me, $25,000 to David, and $75,000 to Tyler for when he's ready to start his life, wedding, house, whatever he needs. She'd been so specific about that. She wanted to take care of him even after she was gone. Yes, I said carefully. She left you $75,000. I don't want to be presumptuous, but would it be okay if I used some of that for the wedding? Not all of it, but maybe half? Vanessa's family is covering the venue and catering, but there are other costs. Photographer, flowers, the band. I want to contribute my share, be a man about it. I felt a swell of pride. He wanted to contribute. He wasn't just letting his in-laws pay for everything. Tyler, that money is yours. Your grandmother left it for you, for exactly this. Use it however you need. Really? You're sure? Absolutely. She'd want you to have the wedding you and Vanessa dream of. Thanks, Grandpa. That means everything. I'll make her proud. You already do. A month later, Tyler called again. So, we're finalizing the wedding budget. The photographer we want is $12,000. The florist is $18,000. And the band, Grandpa? This band is incredible. They've played for Google executives. They're $25,000. I nearly choked. $25,000? For a band? I know. But Vanessa really wants them. And her father said, if we can cover these vendors, they'll handle everything else. It's a good deal. 12 plus 18 plus 25. 55,000. Out of his 75. That's a lot of money, Tyler. I know. But it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing, right? Grandma's money is going to something she'd love celebrating family. I swallowed hard. Maggie had saved that money by bringing lunch from home every single day for 30 years. She'd clipped coupons, shopped sales, worn the same winter coat for 2 decades. She did it so Tyler would have something to build his future on. But this was his future. His wedding, his choice. Okay, I said. If that's what you want, thanks, Grandpa. You're the best. 2 weeks later, he called again. Hey, so small thing. The wedding planner says we're about $10,000 short on the honeymoon. Vanessa wants to do 3 weeks in Bali private villas, the whole thing. Would it be weird if I used the rest of Grandma's money? I know it's more than I said originally. My hand tightened on the phone. The rest? Tyler, that's all $75,000. I know, but think about it. The wedding is the start of our life together, and the honeymoon is part of that. Grandma would want us to start off right, wouldn't she? Would she? Would Maggie want her life savings, her sacrifice, her packed lunches and thrift store clothes to go to a luxury honeymoon in Bali? But what could I say? It was his inheritance, his choice, if that's what you think is best. You're amazing, Grandpa. I'll make this count, I promise. I sent the check the next day. $75,000, made out to Tyler James Miller. In the memo line, I wrote, "From Grandma Maggie, with love." I thought that would be the end of it. I'd contributed my part. Now I'd just wait for the wedding invitation, buy a plane ticket to Cabo, and watch my grandson get married. But 3 months before the wedding, I got a call from Tyler. His voice was different, tense. "Hey, Grandpa, listen, I need to talk to you about something kind of awkward." "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong, exactly. It's just, Vanessa and I were going over the guest list with her parents, and the resort has a capacity limit. We're over by about 20 people. Oh. Well, I'm sure you'll figure it out. Yeah, we are. We're cutting some people. And, Grandpa, Please don't take this the wrong way. My stomach dropped. Vanessa's parents are concerned about. Well, they think having too many older guests might make the vibe feel less energetic. It's a destination wedding. Lots of beach activities, late-night parties. They're worried about people not being able to keep up. I couldn't breathe. Tyler, are you saying you don't want me at your wedding? No, Grandpa. I want you there. But Vanessa's mom made a point that we're already flying in her 78-year-old grandmother. And with you being 71, and some of Vanessa's older relatives, it's just a lot of elderly people. Elderly people. Like we were luggage. I paid for half your wedding, I said quietly. I know, and I'm so grateful. But that's exactly why I'm calling you first. To explain. You've already given so much. You don't have to spend more money flying to Mexico, paying for a hotel, dealing with the travel stress. You can celebrate with us when we're back. We'll do a nice dinner, just us. Tyler, I've been looking forward to this for a year. I know, Grandpa. I know. And I feel terrible. But Vanessa's really stressed, and her parents are being difficult about the numbers, and I just need everyone to be flexible right now. You understand, right? You've always understood. I understood perfectly. What about your father? I asked. Is David still invited? A pause. Well, yeah, he's my dad, and he's only 52, so he's fine for the activities. I see. Grandpa, please don't be mad. I'm not mad, Tyler. I was devastated. Thank you for understanding. I knew you would. I'll call you next week, okay? He didn't call the next week, or the week after that. I called David. Did you know about this? About what? He sounded confused. Tyler uninviting me from the wedding. Silence. Then, what? No, he didn't tell me. Dad, that's insane. You gave him $75,000. He said the resort has capacity issues. Too many elderly people. That's bullshit. I'm calling him right now. Don't, I said. It's his wedding. His choice. Dad, you raised him. You were there when I couldn't be. You paid for his wedding with Mom's insurance money. This is wrong. I know. But what could I do? Show up uninvited? Make a scene? I'm not that person. I spent the next week in a fog. I'd go to the grocery store and forget what I came for. I'd sit in Maggie's chair, the one she'd read in every night, and I'd talk to her like she was still there. He uninvited me, Maggie. Our boy. He took your money and uninvited me. I imagined what she'd say. She wouldn't tell me to let it go. Maggie had a spine of steel. When parents were rude to her at the library, she'd smile and then deny their kids' overdue book privileges. When the school board tried to cut funding, she organized a protest. She didn't roll over. What would you do? I whispered to her chair. The answer came to me in the middle of the night. I got up, turned on my computer, and wrote an email. Tyler, I've been thinking about your call. I understand the situation is complicated, but I need to be honest with you. Your grandmother didn't save that $75,000 so you could have a wedding that excluded the people who love you. She saved it by sacrificing every single day of her working life. She wanted you to have something meaningful. A house, a future, not a party I'm not welcome at. I'm asking you to reconsider. If I'm not invited, I need to know that you understand what you're choosing. I hit send at 3 a.m. He responded 2 days later. Grandpa, I hear you. I really do. But the decision is made. The invitations are already out. I can't change it now without offending Vanessa's family. I promise we'll celebrate together when we're back. This doesn't change how much I love you. That was 8 weeks before the wedding. I didn't respond. Instead, I went to the bank. I'd like to put a stop payment on a check, I told the teller. Sure. Do you have the check number? I slid the photocopy across the counter. Check, Hayshone 847, $75,000. Issued 3 months ago. Memo, from Grandma Maggie, with love. Has it been cashed yet? I asked. She typed on her computer. Yes, sir. Cashed 6 weeks ago. My heart sank. Of course. He'd cashed it immediately. Is there anything else I can help you with? No. Thank you. I walked out of the bank feeling like a fool. What was I going to do? Ask for the money back? Sue my own grandson? But something hardened in me that day. A resolve. I went home and bought a plane ticket to Cabo San Lucas. Same resort, same dates. I booked a room. If Tyler didn't want me at his wedding, fine. But I'd be there, and he'd know I was there. 2 weeks before the wedding, David called me. Dad, I just got off the phone with Tyler. He told me you're not coming to the wedding. That's correct. Are you okay with that? No, David, I'm not. Good, because I told him I'm not going either. David, no, don't do that. Dad, he disrespected you. He took Grandma's money and kicked you out. I'm not standing up there as his best man while you sit at home. He's your son, and you're my father, the man who raised me when my parents died. You think I'm going to choose him over you after what he did? My eyes burned. I don't want to come between you two. You're not. He is. I told him, unless you're invited, I'm not coming. And I'm bringing this up with Vanessa's parents too. They need to know who actually paid for their precious photographer and band. David. No, Dad. Enough. You've been too nice your whole life. Mom would be furious right now. You know she would. He was right. Maggie would have driven to San Francisco and dragged Tyler home by his ear. 3 days later, Tyler called me. He sounded panicked. Grandpa, Dad told me he's not coming to the wedding unless you're invited. Please talk to him. He's being unreasonable. Am I invited? Grandpa, we've been through this. The capacity. Am I invited, Tyler? Yes or no? Silence. I didn't think so, I said, and hung up. He called back immediately. I didn't answer. He texted, Grandpa, please, this is my wedding. Don't ruin it. I typed back, I'm not ruining anything. I'm simply not attending a wedding I'm not invited to. Enjoy Bali. The next week, David called me again. Tyler caved. He's adding you back to the guest list. Vanessa's pissed, but he did it. I should have felt relieved. Victorious, even. Instead, I felt nothing. I'm still coming to Cabo, I said. But not because he invited me back. I have something I need to do. What are you planning, Dad? I'll tell you when it's done. The flight to Cabo San Lucas was long. I don't sleep well on planes anymore. So I spent 5 hours staring out the window, thinking about Maggie. Our first date was at a diner. She ordered a grilled cheese and stole half my fries. Our honeymoon was a weekend in Wisconsin because we couldn't afford anything else. We were happy with nothing. Tyler and Vanessa needed $75,000 for flowers. The resort was absurdly beautiful. Pristine white buildings, infinity pools overlooking the ocean, palm trees everywhere. I checked in, went to my room, and sat on the balcony watching the waves. The wedding was in 2 days. That night, there was a welcome cocktail party for the wedding guests. I wasn't technically invited to that either, but I showed up anyway in my khakis and button-down shirt. Everyone else was in linen and sundresses, looking like they'd stepped out of a cruise ship advertisement. I saw Tyler immediately. He was at the bar with Vanessa and her parents, Richard and Catherine Ashford. Richard was tall, silver-haired, the kind of man who looked like he'd been born wearing a Rolex. Catherine was thin, Botoxed, dripping in jewelry. Tyler saw me and froze. I walked over. Hi, Tyler. Grandpa. I didn't know you were coming. You invited me. Remember? Vanessa turned, her smile tight. Mr. Miller. How nice of you to make the trip. Wouldn't miss it. Richard extended his hand. Bob, is it? Richard Ashford. We've been looking forward to meeting Tyler's family. His handshake was firm, performative. Likewise, I said. Tyler tells us you're a retired teacher. How quaint. Catherine and I have been funding a charter school in Palo Alto. Education is so important. Quaint. Like I'd been playing at a hobby. Yes. I taught for 43 years. American history. Wonderful. Catherine. Didn't we just donate to that museum? The history one? Catherine sipped her champagne. The De Young. Though that's more art than history. They'd already moved on from me. I looked at Tyler. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Well, I said, I'll let you all get back to your party. See you at the wedding. I walked away before anyone could respond. The next day was the rehearsal. Again, I wasn't included. I wasn't in the wedding party, but I walked the grounds, watched from a distance. Tyler looked nervous. Vanessa looked perfect. Her bridesmaids were a matching set of thin, blonde, Instagram-ready women. Tyler's groomsmen were all tech guys in their 20s, talking too loud about IPOs and stock options. David found me by the pool. "Dad, you okay?" "Fine." "You don't look fine." "Did you know Tyler spent all $75,000? Not just half. All of it." David's jaw tightened. "Are you serious?" "Photographer, florist, band, honeymoon. $75,000 of your mother's life insurance money. And then he uninvited me because I'm too old. Jesus Christ. Don't tell him I told you." "Why not?" "Because tomorrow, everyone's going to know." David stared at me. "What are you going to do?" "Something your mother would approve of." The wedding was at sunset on the beach. White chairs, white flowers, a string quartet playing as guests arrived. I wore my best suit, the one I'd worn to Maggie's funeral. Navy blue, slightly too big now because I'd lost weight. I sat in the back row. Nobody talked to me. The ceremony started. Tyler stood at the altar in a white tuxedo, looking like $1,000,000. Literally. His hair was perfect. His smile was perfect. Vanessa walked down the aisle in a dress that probably cost more than my first car. They said their vows. Traditional, safe, nothing personal. The officiant pronounced them husband and wife. Everyone clapped. Then the reception started. The resort had transformed the terrace into something out of a magazine. String lights, long tables with elaborate centerpieces, a stage for the band. That $25,000 band. I found my seat, table 12, in the back, naturally, with some of Vanessa's distant relatives who barely spoke English. Dinner was served, lobster, filet mignon, wine that probably cost $100 a bottle. Then the speeches started. Richard Ashford went first. He stood at the microphone, champagne in hand, and talked about how proud he was of Vanessa, how Tyler was a lucky man, how the Ashford family was thrilled to welcome him. He made a joke about Tyler marrying up that got polite laughs. "And of course," Richard continued, "we're thrilled to have provided this beautiful celebration for these two. Nothing's too good for our Vanessa." Applause. Catherine went next. More of the same. How she'd planned every detail. How perfect the day was. How blessed they were to be able to give their daughter this gift. No mention of Tyler's contribution. No mention of me. No mention of Maggie. Then Tyler stood up. "I want to thank everyone for being here," he said, his voice slightly shaky. "This has been an incredible journey, and Vanessa and I are so grateful for all the love and support, especially from Richard and Catherine, who made all of this possible." My hand tightened on my fork. We're so lucky to have family who believes in us and invests in our future. David, sitting at the family table up front, turned and looked at me. His expression said, "Do something." Tyler continued, "I want to thank my dad, David, for always being there, and my friends who traveled from all over. This day wouldn't be the same without you." He was wrapping up. No mention of me. No mention of Maggie. He was going to sit down. I stood up. The chair scraped loudly against the stone floor. A few people turned to look. I started walking toward the stage. Tyler saw me. His eyes went wide. "Grandpa, what are you?" I took the microphone from his hand. "I'd like to say a few words," I said. The terrace went quiet. Tyler's face went pale. "Grandpa, I don't think—" "Sit down, Tyler." He sat. I looked out at 150 faces staring at me. Most of them I didn't know. Most of them didn't know me. "My name is Robert Miller," I said. "I'm Tyler's grandfather. Some of you may not have known I was here. That's understandable. I wasn't originally invited." A murmur rippled through the crowd. "But I'm here now, and I have something to say. You've heard a lot tonight about who made this wedding possible. Richard and Catherine have been very generous with their credit, and they should be proud. This is a beautiful event." I paused. "But I think there's been some confusion about who paid for what." Tyler stood up. "Grandpa, please. The photographer you've all been raving about? The one who's been capturing these beautiful moments? $12,000. I paid for that. Well, not me exactly. My wife, Margaret, Tyler's grandmother. She's been dead for 3 years, but her money is here." The crowd was dead silent. The flowers, the roses and peonies and whatever else is decorating these tables. $18,000. That's Maggie's money too. She saved that by bringing a peanut butter sandwich to work every single day for 30 years. Vanessa's hand was over her mouth. And that band up there, the one that played during your first dance? $25,000. Maggie worked until she was 67 years old, her knees aching, her back screaming, so that her grandson could have something for his future. She thought maybe it would be a down payment on a house, or a college fund for his kids. Turns out, it's so you all could dance to live music. Richard started to stand. David put a hand on his shoulder, firm. "Sit down," David said quietly. "I wasn't done. Tyler, you called me 8 weeks ago and told me I couldn't come to your wedding. You said there were too many elderly people. I was too old-fashioned. I'd ruin the vibe. Do you remember that?" Tyler's face was crimson. "Grandpa," I explained. "You explained that I wasn't worth the hassle, even though I'd already given you $75,000 of your dead grandmother's money. Money she left specifically for you, for your future. And you spent it all on this party, and then you told me I wasn't welcome." I looked at Vanessa. She was crying, her makeup running. I loved my wife for 46 years. She wasn't fancy. She didn't come from money. She clipped coupons and shopped at Target and drove a 15-year-old Honda. But she was the best person I've ever known. And when she died, she made sure to take care of the people she loved, including Tyler. I turned back to my grandson. "You took her sacrifice and turned it into something she'd be ashamed of. Not the wedding, the dishonesty, the way you treated me, the way you let Richard and Catherine take credit for money they didn't spend." "I'm sorry," Tyler whispered. "Are you?" "Because here's what's going to happen. You've got 3 weeks in Bali coming up. Private villas, the works. That's another $10,000 of your grandmother's money." I pulled an envelope out of my jacket pocket. "This is a letter from my attorney. It's a request for repayment of the full $75,000. Because you didn't use that money the way your grandmother intended. You didn't build a future. You threw a party, and then you excluded me from it." Vanessa sobbed. Catherine looked like she might faint. "Now, I'm not actually going to sue you," I said, "because I'm not cruel, and because your grandmother wouldn't want that. But I want you to understand what you did. You traded your family for status. You traded respect for money. And you did it with money that came from a woman who loved you more than anything." I set the microphone down on the table. The terrace was silent, except for the sound of waves crashing. I walked back to my table, picked up my jacket, and left. Behind me, I heard chaos erupt. Voices crying, Richard shouting something at Tyler. I didn't care. I walked back to my room, packed my bag, and checked out of the resort. I got a taxi to the airport and paid an exorbitant fee to change my flight to one leaving in 3 hours. On the plane home, I slept for the first time in weeks. When I got back to Chicago, there were 47 missed calls and 23 voicemails. I deleted them all. David called 2 days later. "Dad, are you okay?" "I'm fine. Tyler's a mess. Vanessa's family is furious. They cut the honeymoon short." "Good. He wants to talk to you." "I'm not ready." "I understand. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. Mom would be too." "Thanks, son. What are you going to do now?" "I'm going to substitute teach tomorrow. And then I'm going to the cemetery to tell your mother what I did. She'd love that." Tyler tried to reach me for 3 months. Calls, texts, emails, even a letter. I didn't respond. Finally, he showed up at my house on a Saturday morning. I opened the door. He looked terrible. Thinner, older, exhausted. "Grandpa," he said, "please, I need to talk to you." I let him in. We sat at the kitchen table, the same table where Maggie and I had eaten breakfast for 40 years, the same table where I'd helped Tyler with his algebra homework when he was 13. "I'm sorry," he said. "I'm so sorry. You were right, about everything. I was ashamed of you, and I shouldn't have been. I let Vanessa and her family make me into someone I'm not, someone Grandma would hate." "Yes," I said. "You did. I want to make it right." "You can't, Tyler. Your grandmother is dead. You can't give her back the life she sacrificed. You can't undo what you said to me." "I know, but I can try. Vanessa and I are separating." I looked up, surprised. "After the wedding, after what you said, everything fell apart. Her parents blame me for embarrassing them. She blames me for not standing up to you. I blame myself for being such a coward. We've been in therapy, but it's not working. I think we rushed into it. I think I was trying to prove something. Tyler, I'm moving back to Chicago. I quit my job. I'm starting over. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I know I need to be near family. Near you, if you'll have me. I wanted to say no. I wanted to hold on to my anger, my hurt, but I looked at him, and I saw the boy who used to fall asleep on my lap during Sunday afternoon football games. The kid who called me first when he got his college acceptance letter. The young man who cried on my shoulder at his grandmother's funeral. What would you have done differently? I asked. At the wedding. If you could go back? He didn't hesitate. I would have stood up during the speeches and told everyone the truth. That you and Grandma paid for most of it. That you raised me when my parents couldn't. That I was ashamed of myself for ever being ashamed of you. And the invitation? I never should have uninvited you. Not for Vanessa. Not for anyone. You're my family. The only grandfather I've ever known. I nodded slowly. You can stay in the guest room, I said, until you figure things out. His eyes filled with tears. Thank you, Grandpa. But Tyler, if you ever treat me or anyone the way you treated me again, we're done. I'm 71 years old. I don't have time for people who don't respect me. I understand. I promise. He moved in the next week. He got a job at a local nonprofit, working with at-risk kids. He started coming to the YMCA with me, playing chess at the senior center. He asked questions about Maggie, about our life together, things he'd never thought to ask before. One night, about 6 months after he'd moved in, we were sitting on the back porch, the same porch where Maggie and I used to drink coffee every morning. Grandpa, Tyler said, can I ask you something? Sir, do you think Grandma would forgive me? I thought about Maggie, her laugh, her stubbornness, her enormous heart. Yes, I said, she would, but she'd make you work for it. How? By being better, by living a life that honors what she sacrificed for. I'm trying. I know you are. He was quiet for a moment. Then, I never thanked you for standing up for her. At the wedding. Nobody else was going to say it. You made sure people knew what she did. She deserved to be remembered. Yeah, she did. We sat there in the dark, listening to the crickets, and I felt something shift. Not forgiveness, exactly. Not yet. But maybe the beginning of it. Maggie always said people deserve second chances. That's what teaching is, after all. Giving kids the chance to do better, be better. Maybe Tyler deserved that too. 3 months ago, Tyler started dating someone new. Her name is Rachel. She's a kindergarten teacher. She drives a 10-year-old Subaru and volunteers at an animal shelter on weekends. She came over for dinner last month, and she spent 20 minutes looking at the photos of Maggie on the mantel, asking me questions about her. She sounds amazing, Rachel said. I wish I could have met her. She would have liked you, I told her. And I meant it. Yesterday, Tyler asked if we could visit Maggie's grave together. We drove out to the cemetery, brought fresh flowers. He knelt by her headstone and talked to her for a long time. I couldn't hear everything he said, but I heard enough. I'm sorry, Grandma. I'm trying to be the man you raised me to be. On the drive home, I asked him, do you regret the wedding? Everything that happened? He thought about it. I regret hurting you. I regret the way I acted, but I don't regret what you did. You were right. Somebody needed to tell the truth. Your grandmother would have done worse, I said. He laughed. Yeah, she would have. I'm 71 years old. I've been a teacher, a husband, a father figure, a grandfather. I've made mistakes, plenty of them. But standing up at that wedding, honoring Maggie's memory, making sure Tyler understood what he'd done that wasn't a mistake. Some people think I was cruel, that I ruined Tyler's wedding over pride. But it wasn't about pride. It was about respect. It was about making sure my wife's sacrifice wasn't forgotten, swept under the rug, erased so some rich family could feel important. Maggie spent her whole life putting others first, teaching kids to love reading, making sure our home was full of warmth and laughter, saving money so Tyler could have opportunities we never had. The least I could do was make sure people knew. The least I could do was stand up and say, this was her money, her sacrifice, her love. And if that ruined a party, so be it. Because some things are more important than keeping the peace. Some things are worth fighting for, like love, like memory, like the legacy of a woman who gave everything and asked for nothing in return. That's what I told Tyler at the wedding, and that's what I'd tell anyone who asks me if I have regrets. I don't, not even one.